Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Topping the headlines, automation and simplification of Bureau of Standards. 2013 summer workshops for teachers begin and preliminary reports indicate no major impact from the passage of Tropical Storm Chantal. Join me as I bring you the details of these and other stories right after the break.
Scary! Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking, then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and Sidera.
The facts as they are, brought to you every day. Only on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Preliminary reports from the National Emergency Planning Organization on Wednesday indicate that Dominica was not severely affected by the passage of Tropical Storm Chantal. Members of the Technical Committee of the National Emergency Planning Organization met at the Ministry of Finance conference room on Wednesday to review the impact of the passage of Tropical Storm Chantal. Representatives of the local government authority, the Ministry of Public Works, health officials, DOMLEC, Lime, DOWASCO, police and fire services attended Wednesday's meeting. Weather officials confirmed late Tuesday that Chantal passed about 70 miles south of Dominica between the islands of Martinique and St. Lucia. After consultations with the National Hurricane Center and colleagues in Barbados, a tropical storm warning issued by weather officials was discontinued on Tuesday.
We look at the position of the storm and the direction towards which it is moving. So once it is moving away from the islands, and then you will have a reduction in wind speeds, a reduction in shower activity, a reduction in thunderstorm activity also. So as long as the system is moving away and it poses no further threat to Dominica, then we will lift the tropical storm warning.
Reports indicate that while Dominica did not suffer any major impact from the passage of the storm, communities in the south were affected by strong winds and rain.
With regards to infrastructural, roads, landslides, rock slides, that occurred primarily in the southern third of the island, particularly Soufriere, Scottside, Point Michel, Tigit, Stowe, and these areas, Petit Soufriere, and so on. Many of these slides have been cleared, but work is still ongoing because primarily the objective was to open a pathway for vehicles to be able to move across the slide area. And work is still continuing so that the entire roadway is cleared.
The passage of Tropical Storm Chantal also impacted water and electricity supply in several communities across the island.
Supply of water by DOWASCO was impacted in a number of areas. We know that you have open intakes, and there is always this question of debris and silt affecting the intakes. And in a number of cases, these intakes were cleared, but in some areas in the east and in the south, they are still working and water has not yet been restored, and in certain other areas, there are still some areas without electricity as we speak there. Some poles fell, there is some transformer problems, but although electricity, as we are aware, we lost power in Roseau and a number of other places. In most cases, power has been restored.
Meantime, the National Security Minister has defended a decision by government to allow nationals to go home at 12 p.m. on Tuesday due to the weather conditions.
We believe it was the right decision, that it was necessary for people to be asked to go home. Anxiety as to what is happening at home is a major concern. And as we did see that there were landslides, and in some cases persons were even interrupted in their way, on their way home.
Dominica was spared the full brunt of the weather system, but just how prepared were the various subcommittees of the National Emergency Planning Organization? Disaster Preparedness Coordinator Don Corriett explained to GIS News on Tuesday evening that the technical subcommittee of NEPO met on Monday to discuss the approaching system.
We got reports from the local government, Ministry of Social Services, on the state of shelters and the state of our managers and assistant managers and their availability. We also got reports from the Ministry of Public Works. The CTO was present and also his PS, and we got a pretty good idea as to the strategy used in pre-positioning equipment and their state of readiness if we were affected by mudslides, landslides, flash flooding.
Director of the Dominica Red Cross, Kathleen Pinard-Byrne, spoke with GIS News on Tuesday about the society's preparation for the storm.
We have been in contact with our zonal office in Panama, who indicated that they were ready and on standby to assist if this became necessary. So we have maintained contact with them throughout the day today. Happily for many of us, there have been no reports of injuries, there have been no loss of life, though there have been a number of houses that have partially lost their roofs. All in all, we got away quite lightly, but of course this is just the start of the hurricane season.
The Red Cross official says her team of well-trained personnel were prepared for the storm.
We have 51 National Intervention Team members trained from amongst our volunteers. But we also have in the region of 250 community disaster response team members we have trained in communities around the island. So we view them as an extension of Red Cross, and they become our eyes and ears on the ground. So that if a relief program is necessary, they have been trained to respond as well. So between the CDRTs and our own volunteers, I think we have a good cadre of trained persons ready and willing to respond.
Head of the task force of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, Inspector Richmond Valentine, explains that his unit was ready for the tropical storm. He says the force is trained to do whatever it takes to save lives.
As long as access is possible, even if access is not possible via vehicular traffic, I think we've had enough training. If it becomes necessary or we have to use foot, saving life is very important, and we can't always rely on transport to take us from one point to the next when there's an emergency. So we've done training in the past that we would definitely use in time like this.
Fire Chief Josiah Dupey told GIS News on Tuesday evening that his department was fully prepared for the storm.
One of the things that we do again on the onset of the hurricane season, particularly because of the unique nature of the hurricane season, is we would put particular mechanisms, or actually activate certain mechanisms. We would actually do that particularly when we have information with regard to a warning, a storm warning or hurricane warning, and we would ensure that, for example, officers who are off duty would return. We would ensure that list of individuals who would be required to be transported from convalescent homes or from their private homes to hurricane shelters. So these are some of the things that we ensure that we take care of before.
Meantime, Minister for National Security, Honorable Charles Savarin, has reminded nationals that we are in the hurricane season and all actions should be taken to prepare for similar weather conditions.
We need to continue to be vigilant. We need to take seriously information information given to us regarding watches and warnings, and when systems upon us and we're likely to be impacted, to take all of the precautions that we have been advised to take.
In other news, over 100 teachers for the next 2 weeks will engage in sharing and learning new ideas in 4 disciplines under the direction and guidance of Canadian and Dominican facilitators. On Wednesday, the Dominica Association of Teachers, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Canadian Teachers Federation, began the 2013 Summer Workshops for Teachers. The summer workshops, which has been held annually in Dominica for the past 13 years, commenced with an opening ceremony at the Convent High School auditorium. Minister for Education, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, in his address, commended the Canadian Teachers Federation for continuing the work started by the Government of Canada through the Organization for Cooperation in Overseas Development program. The Education Minister described the refresher program for teachers as necessary as the ministry continues to take steps to ensure that Dominican students receive quality education.
I believe that this goes a long way in preparing our teachers to deliver quality instructions in the classroom, preparing our students to survive in a competitive global environment. We are cognizant that we can develop our teachers to become competent professionals who will continue to develop new knowledge, new skills, and a disposition that would lead them to care and inspire our young people.
The minister applauded the Dominica Association of Teachers for its continued role in the professional development of teachers.
Let me commend the DAT for the role that it has been playing, because the DAT does not see itself solely as a bargaining agent for teachers. But even more than that, the DAT recognizes that it is a professional body, and one of its primary objectives is the professional development of every teacher in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And I commend the President and Executive for recognizing this fact.
The ceremony was addressed by Canadian team leader, Jamaican-born Olive Crary Satchel. She expressed pleasure and delight to be part of Project Overseas in Dominica.
CTF is a strong defender of public education in Canada and is one of the leaders in international development, which includes Project Overseas. And as you know, that's the reason why we're here, my team and I, why we're here. So we have been working with that for the past 13 years. It seemed like more, but for the past 13 years, and that's a lot, because CTF Project Overseas is in its 52nd year this year. So you have been with us for a long time as partners, so that's really good. So we're here as a team ready to work with you, our colleagues, and that to provide the best professional development that we can. Both of us will be sharing and learning, because it's a two-way street. We're learning from you, you are learning from us, and we're sharing best practices. And together, after we finish this workshop, we will be sharing with our colleagues here and in Canada.
President of the Dominica Association of Teachers, Celia Nicholas, welcomed the Canadian teachers to Dominica. She thanked the Canadian Teachers Federation for continuing to partner with the Dominica Association of Teachers to ensure that the summer workshops continue. Mrs. Nicholas explained that a special focus will be placed this year on food and nutrition training.
This year we are offering 4 courses. And the 4 professional courses we're offering is food and nutrition, literacy, numeracy, and special education. And I'm going to just give a little synopsis why. Food and nutrition, Mrs. Hesker Charter is one, our local facilitator for this program. We are on a platform right now of eating right. Remember 2 years ago, our theme dealt with health. Okay, was our theme. We were stressing on health. And it is rather sometimes pathetic and sorrowful when we see our teachers going down one by one. Okay? I mean, mental health is attacking our teachers now. And it's very important that our teachers take care of themselves and then to pass it on that the others can take care of themselves. We never feel it until it comes home. And this is why we are stressing on food and nutrition, because when you do the study, it always goes back basically to your diet. And we have to be conscious of what we are putting in this vessel that God has given us. And to influence, and the level of influence that we have, we can change our diet. So, and not only that, we are always complaining of high food import bill. So if we are teachers, we have to teach the way. We have to make our people understand for our country to develop. We have to develop it. We have to eat, as the farmers always tell us, eat what we grow and grow what we eat.
In more news, the Dominica Bureau of Standards, with assistance from the International Finance Corporation, the IFC World Bank Group, is in the process of piloting an automation and simplification program to facilitate trade. The program will harmonize trade procedures, which will ultimately provide a more efficient service to the private sector. IFC Trade Logistics Specialist Lazar Ristic has been working with the Dominica Bureau of Standards in implementing the pilot project.
We assist countries facilitate trade. And as part of this work, what we are doing is assisting Bureau Standards to develop I would say, simplified processes so they can further facilitate trade. One of those things is the full automation of the Bureau Standard certificate, which before was a fully paper-based process. Now what we're doing is integrating with the Asakuda World, which is Customs Administration's IT system, to assimilate data from that system and automate the Bureau Standards processes. So what we have now is really a paperless procedure and paperless approval.
The IFC's Trade Logistics Specialist told GIS News that this new system will see the use of less paper, thus making the process of import clearance much easier.
The traders will not have to submit a formal paper request like before, and they will not be issued a paper certificate. So the traders do not have to approach Bureau Standards separately like they did before. This will require only for them to lodge the customs declaration, and the data required by the Bureau Standards will be extracted from the customs declaration. The trade process is going to be, the difference is huge, I would say, because it really saves the traders 1 day in clearing goods. Before you would have to lodge your customs declaration, then you would have to take all your documents to the Bureau Standards, make a payment, go to the Bureau Standards, put in the request, and come back the next day. Now you don't have to do that anymore. You just lodge your customs declaration, you submit it. The system, which is an electronic system, extracts the data it needs. The approval is done electronically, and you make a single payment to Customs Administration. You no more have to go to the bank and make a separate payment for Bureau Standards, separate payment for Customs. You now do all of the process as one.
Dominica is the first country in the OECS to pilot such a program. Plans are to introduce the new automation program to other government departments here and other Bureau of Standards in the Caribbean.
We're working across the OECS region, but the first time it's ever been done and ever that an agency has been this integrated into the process and automated is here in Dominica with Bureau Standards. What we're going to be doing is expanding this work in Dominica to the Ministry of Agriculture to work with the vet and plant inspections as well as with the health environment. and also taking it to the other islands such as St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and so Antigua, to automate their Bureau standards and their processes. Of course, learning from the experience from the Bureau Standards of Dominica.
And that's the English segment of the news. Let's now join McPherson St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, Association Teacher Dominique en collaboration et puis Ministre de l'Éducation a collaboré et puis Fédération Teacher Canada pour course à summer pour Teacher en Dominique. 4 officiers Fédération Teacher Canada qui a facilité course là qui a duré 2 semaines. Madame Celia Nicolas, c'est président Association Teacher de la Dominique.
Nous avons fait ça, nous avons fait tous les années, nous avons travaillé pour teacher, pour être meilleur teacher. Actuellement, nous avons une jeune teacher qui a été à profession là, nous pour faire quelque chose, pour ensure que c'est bon teacher à classroom là. Nous sommes Canadian teachers pour aider nous, tous les années nous avons fait ça. Nous avons négocié avec le gouvernement, nous-mêmes nous avons toujours négocié l'argent ça nous a servi pour les teachers. So les teachers ont dit ça, diétique a fait pour eux, tout ça nous a fait pour eux. Plus, ce n'est pas à nous taper l'argent à sous salaire, mais taper, obiter l'argent pas sa guerre. Avec tous les années, ça c'est les teachers qui ont tapé ici, pièce l'argent pas sa guerre pour eux. Vous pas pour payer, vous avez tapé snack, vous avez tapé nous payer pour transport, vous avez tapé bité pour vous servir à classroom là, ces Canadiens là même yo même ka ba yo tibité pour aider yo, livre yo ka ba yo livre pour ces enfants là, yo ka ba yo crayon, pencil, pen, tout ça nous ka ba yo. Tout teacher Dominique Savini et si taper ça.
En autre nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique a fait possible bâtir facilité basketball hard court en l'école primaire en Guambé. Parole celle-là sortie au Parlement, Honorable Justina Charles.
Les gens là, although yo pani, yo teni un hard court derrière l'école là, yo te ka jouer netball, yo ka participer en netball, primary school. Mais hard court là, condition court là, pas très bon. So ça mon fait, mon haché, mon parler avec ministre éducation, nous taper mettre l'argent éducation et sport. So nous mettez l'argent pour make sure nous ranger court là. About half travail là j'ai fait avec nous avant l'école fermée, mon make sure nous acheter l'instant l'argent là qui était nécessaire. So during summer vacation c'est moun qui a fait travail là, qui continue le travail là. Toute matière là nous j'ai payé transport mener matière. Celle ça nous reste pour faire c'est pour payer moun qui fait travail là et moi j'ai parlé en ministère avec ces moun so l'argent ça là ça secure. So les janvier ouvert nous que c'est les septembre venir c'est les gens qui ça participer en sport en netball et en basketball because that court là qui est complète à ça là.
À la nouvelle, plusieurs activités qu'a expecté pour prendre place pour célébration émancipation l'année 2013. Officier culturel en collaboration et puis Conseil culturel national lancé un programme pour ces activités-là lundi semaine là. Thème là pour célébration là c'est Celebrating, Uniting, Achieving. Activité qui commencé et puis Golden Drum Award et puis concert qui prend place en Kai Culture Arawak en Wozo. Il y a l'autre aspect pour célébration l'année 2013, c'est affaires où là, il y a découvert en Miwai, Neg Marron, tout près People's Park en Wozo. D'autres activités qui Emancipation Hike, Festival Heritage Eggleston et puis Festival Live. Célébration émancipation qui court le 30 juillet pour le 11 août l'année 2013. Finalement, l'organisation Caribbean Export a créé à cette entreprise en Dominique pour prendre l'avantage, opportunité, qu'il a offert pour augmenter l'entreprise en pays là. Selon l'officier organisation Grégoire Thomas, il a gardé pour plus d'applications en Dominique.
Il y a un lot call for proposals qui sont venus. Souvent, Caribbean Export a publié, quitte à accepter l'application de l'entreprise. Et bien, ça nous laisse les plus entreprises Dominique fait application. Plus entreprises Dominique fait application qui bon, qui Caribbean Export ça révisé et puis aussi pour pour plus entreprise Dominique taper awards hot Caribbean export.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, the tip of the day.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking. Then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and SIDERA.
Today, we'll continue to remind you about what you should do when a tropical storm has been issued. You are advised to leave low-lying areas. Protect windows with plywood boards or storm shutters. Secure outside objects. Make sure you have plenty of fuel and water. Have several days of supply of food and water for each family member. If called to evacuate, do so immediately. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and your comments, so please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. Thank you so much for watching, and do remember to join us again tomorrow.